Studio Series is taking its sweet time with that new leader class Megatron, so I'm taking things into my own hands. Yes, my googly gang, I'm GarrytheGremlin, but I can't deal with that now, because today, we're looking at Transformers Legacy Leader Class Armada Megatron, and determining if he actually stands up to that way too lengthy title. I mean, for starters, he's at least a Transformer and clearly Armada Megatron. If he's actually worthy of being called a leader class is for me to find out so that you don't have to. Why did I just say that? Am I the nostalgia critic or something? Good God. First, you're gonna like the video, because every time you do, I get a big smile on my face. A subscribe and a comment would be nice as well, but that's up to you. Armada Megs is such a stark departure from the classic guy, but is he not so instantly recognizable? Who else could this be, right? That's the leader of the Decepticons for sure. Who else would be brazen enough to have an insignia on both shoulder pads? Everything here screams Megatron, without any of it really being Megatron. If I were to take a minute and try to define all the classic elements of G1 Megatron, it'd be the bucket head, the arm-mounted weapon, the broad chest, and the inability to get Scrapper's name right.
Scraper report!
That's Scrapper, you asshole!
Okay, maybe not that last one. G1 established all that, G2 Megs kept it going, and Beast Wars Megs confirmed it. Those are the features you expect to clue you into who you're looking at. But then, the chest is really the only thing Armada Megatron keeps from those three extremely important criteria, and is still somehow instantly recognizable. Well, he also keeps the whole David K thing from Beast Wars Megs, but that's beside the point.
Oh, I like you, pussycat. Yes. Oh, I like you, pussycat. Yes.
I adore the antlers, as well as the Mad Lad head sculpt in general. This metallic, shiny blue, it's to die for, and those deep red, evil squinting eyes are perfect. The horns on this Legacy figure are kind of warped, and that's due to them being made out of this gummy rubber. If that's what keeps them from easily breaking, that's good, but it also unfortunately keeps them from just looking good, so, you know, the price you pay. For a figure that's orange, green, and purple, he's fairly understated. They're all very nice shades, leading into his casual vibe of evilness. The paint budget here is actually pretty decent. I love that we're not wasting time painting things that could have been cast in a different color. No, all the paint here is spent on getting the details to pop. If you don't get what I meant by that, here's an example. Studio Series Rise of the Beast Optimus Prime, whose back is cast in blue and painted red. So much of the figure's paint budget had to go here just to get this massive chunk the right color. Now, he does have an excuse for it, but that's beside the point. Megatron here, none of it. Lots of silver and deep orange to bring out these fun details like all these dials and pistons and such. However, I feel like it still could have used more, especially because almost all the details on him are completely asymmetrical. I didn't realize this at first, and while playing with him I started to notice, and it's amazing. Look at the forearms next to each other, then the legs. Let's bring his boobs in. It's actually so cool that they're not just mirrored, they're all different. But the asymmetrical nature of the sculpt and how good it is kind of shows where the paint is lacking, right? These inlaid forearm details are great. They give a glimpse under the skin of this massive robot and show that he's a mechanical, moving machine. But without some paint to highlight them, they could easily go unnoticed. I don't customize my figures anymore, but this guy is calling to me like the Green Goblin mask. Will I dust off the old masking tape and Gundam markers? Let me know in the comments. I could make a follow-up video on that. I get this has kind of been a weird point. This guy's paint is already pretty good for the standard set by Hasbro, it's just that he easily could have been leagues better. Let's talk about the elephant in the room. He's got a fresh spin on the classic Megatron fusion cannon, this big cannon hanging under his hip. I feel like it fits in very well with the asymmetrical nonsense aesthetic of this guy. It can swivel around to go under either armpit. And here, we've got a feature. If you pull up on his chest, like Megatron pulling up on Sentinel Prime, then you can spin the turret around to be on his front. What? This is unserious as hell. What do you mean this is supposed to be in attack mode? If you want to get super freaky, I'm sorry, you can't, because Hasbro neutered him. The cannon cannot swivel around to the only place you want it to go.
No dick, no balls.
The tinier cannon can also swivel and it can come off, but for some reason it is not a 3mm peg like everything else these days is. What? So you can't attach it onto any port? What? This is sticking with the nonsense aesthetic, but in the wrong way. And I love the shapes he's got going on. Shoulders that rival Ultra Magnus. If you're not vibing with them shoulders, then good news, they'll gladly flop down out of the way for you. Yeah, all the joints on this guy are good and tight, except for the one that actually should really stay together. At any time, a third of his chest might randomly slough off, taking the entire arm with it. Let me tell you, me and these shoulders, we got mad problems. They're loose, as well as really limiting for articulation. We've got a kind of cursed design where his shoulder joints aren't actually attached to his body, they're attached to the inside housing of the shoulder assembly. This means they can't move backwards at all. He's got wonderful leg articulation. The knees bend forward and backwards on good clicky ratchets, but trying to get the classic JoJo pose, you know, the hips forward, arms back pose, yeah, without the arms going backwards, it looks weird. I love the ankle joint, engineered in that great way where it doesn't really break the sculpt. Plus, he's got funny little T-Rex toes. I'm not a fan of those silly wrist holes. It can be such an ugly distraction sometimes. Here, it's kind of more obvious just because everywhere else is sealed off well. I am a fan of how one hand is sculpted open while the other is a fist, but I'd also much rather have them just be articulated instead. Remember that big cannon from earlier? Pull the tip off, switch his hand around, and you can plug it onto his wrist. The connection is super loose, cause sure, why not? This frankly is mega dookie. I cannot believe Hasbro marketed this as a gimmick for the figure. It's the same part swap system we've been doing since 2018 Siege, but they tried to rebrand it and call it a new thing. Girl, we've been knowing Evo Fusion since it was called the Combat System. I mean, if I place Armada Megs on top of the fridge, it's not really a feature of the fridge. It's just a thing I've done. Same as placing the cannon somewhere else on top of him. It's not really a feature. I just did that. Overall, the robot mode is pretty great despite some of those oddities. He has a big ol' size, healthily the same size as Commander Class Optimus Prime. Even with how inconsistent Leader Class can be sized, this guy ranges on the healthier end. A little closer to Grimlock and a little less closer to Shockwave. And just before we move on to that alt mode, I just want to admire this robot mode one last time. It really has got an amazing presence. Okay, let's get out of here. Tank mode inbound. And I love how tight and compact this tank form fits together. It's an H-tank, yes. And I know we're all so tired of those, but this is an objectively good one. No loose bits or floppy parts or nothing. There are little wheels on the tank treads that allow him to roll, and the turret can rotate. The previously mentioned neutering feels especially silly here. I think a tank realistically should have 360-degree firing capacity, but I guess not here. That could be made up. I don't know anything about tanks, so let me know in the comments if what I just said was ridiculous. The paint details pop a lot more in this mode, and the asymmetry is going insano style right now. And it is a healthily hefty size. It feels a step more substantial and larger than other leader class alt modes. And for all the issues and all the downgrades from the original figure, I can't help but still love him. By the way, I've never owned the original figure. I don't know why I said that. We'll skip any inane comparisons, okay, if that's alright with you, of course. On its own, this is a solid action figure with some great sculpt work, some big bad shoulders, and a great presence. I yearn for the day that this gets retooled into an IDW Fort Max. That would be amazing. That would be my dream come true. The question I asked at the very start of the video, however, does he earn leader class? And the answer, how am I supposed to know? I just work here for crying out loud. I'll see you guys later. Subscribe and all that, yada yada, you know the deal. I'm Gary the Gremlin, and I am so out of here. Like, gone.